World Economic Forum, obviously people who watch this show are fairly aware of it, but let's pretend like people don't even know what this organization is. Why do they have so much power? When Klaus Schwab in his stupid Bond movie villain accent puts on some big event somewhere, why do elites from all over the world show up and listen to what he has to say? Who are these people?
Well, yeah, it's basically a membership club, and it's become a convening authority, a platform where elites from around the world can meet and confer on the direction they think not individual countries should take, not that their own businesses should take, but that the entire planet should take. My colleague Seamus Bruner has written a terrific book called Control Oligarchs, where he just came out, where he talks about specifically how the World Economic Forum came into being, what its goals are. And it really is a power represented by the sum of its parts. All the global elites, meaning a lot of world leaders, China certainly shows up, President Xi, and a lot of the biggest corporations in America send representation, and they're trying to build a policy consensus. The problem is that none of these people were elected to political office. They're not accountable to voters, and yet they want to tell us how our lives should be run. It is, I think, a very, very dangerous thing that we ought to be concerned about.
Talk to me about George Soros, and more specifically, I'm worried about his dirtball son, who apparently is taking over the family business. Should I be more worried about his son than I am George?
Well, I think his son tends to be more political than George Soros was, and that's saying something because George Soros was plenty political. I think the problem is if you look at what their agenda is, their stated agenda, they are deeply dissatisfied with the status quo in the United States, meaning the form of government we have, the type of lives that people want to live, the way that people spend their money. So they have an agenda that really, I would argue, is leading to the breakdown of certain elements of American civic society. One of those being law enforcement. I mean, you've talked about it. Others have talked about how they are funding prosecutors to run in these elections in urban areas. And then these prosecutors get elected and they don't actually enforce the laws. It's a way of circumventing representative government. I mean, our elected officials have passed laws saying this is a crime, this is how it ought to be dealt with. And here you have somebody that Soros is helping to get elected who's saying we're not going to enforce those laws. So we should be very, very concerned about this agenda. And I think when it comes to the Soros operation, it's not going to get better as it's being passed to the next generation. It's actually going to get worse.
Right. Where'd the Clintons go, Peter? You don't hear as much from them anymore. Every now and then Hillary Clinton will pop up on The View cackling about something. But for the most part, these people have quieted down. That's not really their nature. Where'd they go?
Yeah, no, I think they've kind of faded. They used to be really the powerful force within the Democratic Party. And that has really been supplanted by Barack Obama. I mean, there's no love lost between the Clintons and Barack Obama. They're fighting for the same level of influence. And it's really Barack Obama who I would argue represents sort of the shadow government or the power behind the throne as it relates to Joe Biden. Many of the senior officials in the White House are, of course, former Obama appointees. There have been a lot of press reports about, of course, Barack Obama lives in Washington, D.C., and there's a lot of official people coming and going from his residence. So the Clintons, I think, have faded, not because they wanted to fade, not because they're enjoying spending time with the grandkids and reading books and reflecting on their lives. It's because they've been supplanted by Barack Obama as kind of the authority within the Democratic Party. And I don't think Barack Obama is interested in sharing that with the Bidens by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I don't think they are. Peter, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it very much. I want people to go read that book.